Recording is started. You can write your roll numbers in the chat box. Well, just check whether the screen is visible. Can someone respond? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As we have decided, during this tutorial hour, right? So every Saturday we have one hour tutorial. During tutorial hour, we will be discussing, we will be learning third unit, that is introduction to ARM. And I told you why we are doing this, because the weightage of unit 3 is more. There are a lot of things to learn from third unit, right? So introduction to ARM is the name of this unit. So every Saturday during this tutorial hour we will be discussing third unit, right? So let's begin. Yeah. So I have divided this unit 3 in 4 parts basically, out of which this is the first part of third unit. And as I mentioned here, the unit title of this chapter is Introduction to ARM Cortex M3 processor, right? And the reference that you have to go through is a definitive guide to the ARM Cortex M3. This is second edition, and on that you will find page number 3 to 10, right? So it's a very huge data sheet of Cortex M3. So you can write it down. You can note down for these contents. You will have to refer page number 3 to page number 10, right? So with that, let me tell you what we are going to study in this. Basically, right from about title of the chapter, introduction. Introduction means action of introducing something, and then we have ARM. Can someone tell me what is the long form of ARM? What do you mean by ARM? What is the long form? Are you able to hear me? Is it audible?
Advanced risk machine, sir.
Advanced risk machines. Correct. Very nice. So the correct answer is advanced risk machines. But as the time passes, the meaning of ARM goes on changing. I'll tell you 3 different names of ARM later on. For a while, let us understand this as a advanced risk machines, right? So let us try to understand what is risk. Can you just be able to identify the difference between CISC and RISC? So it's better to have this comparison here. What I'll do is I will add new slide. CISC versus RISC. So let us list out the difference. So here it is CISC. Here it is RISC. Now tell me, what is the difference? I hope you are learning this since last couple of years in microprocessor, microcontroller, embedded system. What is difference between CISC and RISC? What is basically this C stands for or CISC stands for?
Complex instruction set computation.
Correct. Complex instruction set computation or computer, you can say. Here it is reduced instruction set computers. Right? So, based on the complexity of instructions, they are divided into means all the devices, all processors and controllers, they are divided into two groups. One is CISC, second one is RISC. So as far as number of instructions are concerned, which instruction set is having which category is having more number of instructions?
CISC.
Yes, CISC will have more number of instructions. More number of instructions. Whereas in a RISC, it is having less number of instructions. But here, very distinguishing and very highlighting point of comparison I would like to put before you is CISC do not support pipeline. CISC do not support pipelining, whereas pipeline execution of instructions. So what is meaning of this pipeline execution of instructions? See, whenever we write some instruction for any device, let's say we are writing a program and in that we are writing instruction. So every instruction for getting executed, it has to be passed through three phases. There are three phases of execution. When we can say the instruction is executed, when it will go through those three phases. Which are those three phases? Fetch, decode, and execute. Right, so let me expand this. What is the fetch cycle? Then we have decode, and then we have execute. Right, so these are the three cycles every instruction need to pass through. Now, as long as this no pipelining means CISC architectures are concerned, whenever the instruction comes for the execution, it will first go into the fetch cycle. Then it will go to the decode cycle. And then it will go to the execution cycle. After that, after execution of first instruction, next instruction will be taken for fetching. Are you getting what do you mean by no pipeline? Whereas in case of pipelining, first instruction comes into the fetch cycle. After that, when it goes to the decoding, next instruction will be fetching. When first instruction goes for the execution, second goes to the decode, and third one will be taken into fetch cycle. So what happens in short? The time required to execute the instructions will be more in execution time is more. Here what I can write? Execution time is less. Right, so this is what the basic difference is. म्हणजेच काय CISC मध्ये 1 by 1 instruction एकदा फेच होईल, डिकोड होईल, एक्झिक्यूट होईल, त्यानंतर पुढची इन्स्ट्रक्शन फेचिंग साठी घेतली जाईल. पण इकडे रिस्क मध्ये पाइपलाइन असल्यामुळे काय होतंय, पहिली इन्स्ट्रक्शन एक्झिक्यूट होत असताना दुसरी इन्स्ट्रक्शन डिकोड केली जाते आणि तिसरी फेच केली जाते. So this is how pipeline, if I can get the diagram. Yeah, here you can see this diagram. There are three cycles, as I said: fetch, decode, and execute. Fetch means what? Getting the instruction from code memory. Then what is meaning of decode? Decode means understanding the meaning, understanding the instruction, right? And after that, execution. Execution means actual processing of that instruction. So with this diagram, you can easily understand that when the first instruction comes in a fetch cycle, after that, for the next movement, it will go to the decode of first instruction. Yes.
Sambe. Sambe.
Akash. Yeah. So when this second instruction, first instruction is fetched. After that, first instruction goes to decoding. During that, second instruction can be taken for fetch. When the first instruction goes for execution, your second instruction goes for decoding, and third instruction can be taken for this fetching cycle. So this is how the time required to execute one instruction is reduced in by putting them into the by putting it into the pipelining mode, right? So that's why I have written execution time is more for CISC and it is less for RISC architecture. So in line with that, what I can say, see, all the instructions are coming into the fetch, decode, and execution cycle one after another. So only one bus is sufficient. Only one bus is sufficient for execution of the instruction. But here you require three different buses. Three different buses are required. Why three different buses are required? Because fetch cycle will take a different instruction, then decode cycle will take a different instruction, and execute cycle will take another instruction. So this is the basic difference between CISC and RISC. So I hope it is clear as far as this name of the chapter is concerned. Now let us move ahead about central idea. So what we are going to learn in this particular unit, right? So basically we start with the introduction to ARM architecture. Then we will discuss different Cortex series classification. Like as I said, this ARM will have different meaning at different point of time. Here we are calling this ARM as advanced RISC machines, but ARM have different meaning for this ARM. A stands for application, R stands for real time, M stands for microcontroller. So this is the series: application series, real time series, and a microcontroller series, right? So then we will move on to understand ARM Cortex M series family, because the device that we are going to learn in this particular unit is belonging to Cortex M3 series, right? So this M3 is one of the component of this M, right? As I said, M is the microcontroller series, right? So this will have M3 component. In that M3, we will see a block diagram, architecture, then registers, different special function registers, general purpose registers. After that, we will discuss the memory organization, in short, memory map, right? After that, we will discuss the instruction set, which is defined for Cortex M3, which includes different types of instruction set. In that, we have data accessing instructions, then data processing instructions, arithmetic instructions. In that we will see all the logical operations as well. Programming flow controls. These are another category of instructions we are going to learn. After that, we will see the interrupts, exception handlings, low power features of Cortex M3, different requirements of this Cortex M3, different sleep modes that are supported in Cortex M3. Then we will see development of low power applications. We will talk about development of low power application using Cortex M3. We will conclude this unit by discussing basic embedded C programs for on-chip peripherals. Then we will discuss the interfacing as well. The interfacing is of LEDs and switches, so no major or difficult part of interfacing is included in this subject. Simply you need to learn how we can interface switches, LEDs, etc. Then we have a serial communication. Then we have analog interfacing and data acquisition system. And at the end, we will talk about application programming interface, API. Right? So these are the things that we are going to learn in the third unit. Is that clear? Right. So this is all about the introduction of this chapter. Let's move ahead. I talked about the difference between CISC and RISC. The contents, probably we will not follow these contents. We will have some different contents. Yeah, let's begin with the introduction to ARM architecture. So that then after that we will go for this ARM profiles. So what I'll do is I will add one more slide. And right here, introduction to ARM. Now, I think you have better understanding about this ARM since you have learned one of the ARM processor. ARM, I think it was LPC2148, right? So what do you know about this LPC2148? You might have seen this LPC2148. It's a device that belongs to ARM family, right? So here also we are going to learn one more device which belongs to ARM Cortex M3, which could be understood from ARM processor and architecture. So just to understand the ARM processor, I'll come to the ARM architecture later on. But before that, let me tell you little bit history of this ARM, right? So let us take this point afterwards. History, right? So what do you think when this ARM would came in existence? See, this ARM was founded in 1990s. ARM, this one, 1990s, as Advanced RISC Machines Limited. This was called as a Advanced RISC Machines Limited. This was the name given to the this ARM. Then afterwards, it becomes a giant venture between Apple Computers and Acorn Computer Group. So afterwards, who joined this Advanced RISC Machines? Apple Computers. Right, so Apple Computers and write all the three ventures. First one is Apple Computer, then second one is Acorn Group, and last one in that is VLSI Technology. So this Advanced Risk Machine Limited, that is ARM, is a joint venture of Apple Computers, Acon Group, and VLSI Technology. Right. So these all three were working in the same field. They combined this venture, and they have evolved this ARM series into the market. After that, in 1991, ARM has introduced ARM 6 processor family. Right. So in 1991, ARM 6, ARM version 6, V6, you can say, processor family was came in existence, and VLSI become initial licensee of that ARM 6. Then subsequent then after that, additional companies like Texas Instruments. So after that, TI, Texas Instruments, joined this group. After that, NEC, they have also joined this group. After that, Sharp, they joined this group. Then ST Microelectronics, they have also joined this ARM group. Right. So they licensed this ARM processor design and extending the applications of ARM processor into the mobile phones. Right. So you can see most of the microprocessors are coming from those groups like Apple, Acon, VLSI, then Texas Instrument, NEC, Sharp, and STM. They are developing the microprocessors which are being used in mobile phones along with the Intel. Right. So these are all the companies who are licensed to develop the ARM processor and extend the application of ARM processor into mobile phones, computers, hard disk, personal digital assistants, that is PDA, and home entertainment system, and many other consumer products. Right. Nowadays, this ARM partnership has crossed 2 billion. 2 billion ARM processor they are delivering every year. Right. So this is another highlighting point. This ARM does not manufacture processors now, or they do not sell it. Instead, ARM only gives a license to use it. Right. So when we say ARM device, that means it's not manufactured by ARM. It's licensed by ARM. Right. Keep it in mind. So the processor designs this. They gives the licenses to business partners, including majority of world's leading semiconductor companies. Now, based on low cost and low cost and power efficient processor designs, these partners have created their processors, microcontrollers on chip solutions. This business modules is called as intellectual property licensing. So that means this ARM group is giving intellectual property licensing. Right. So this is what about the history of ARM is. In addition to these processor designs, ARM also licensed the system level IP, system level intellectual property right. Right. नाही झालं कट केला मेसेज. So now the development. So first ARM was developed at Acon Group Limited of Cambridge, England in 1985. That was the first version of microprocessor. But at that time it was not labeled as ARM. It was developed by Acorn, but it was not labeled as ARM. Before 1990, sir, hey, Sachin. So in 1990s, this ARM stood for Acon, and they have developed this ARM processor. म्हणजेच काय की 1990 पर्यंत फक्त Acorn प्रोसेसर तयार करत होता. ज्यावेळी हे ऍपल कम्प्युटर वगैरे त्याच्यासोबत कंबाईन झाले त्यावेळी त्याचं नवीन नामकरण केलं गेलं, ज्याला आपण आता आर्म म्हणतोय, आणि तिथून पुढे जे प्रोसेसर्स आले त्याला आपण आर्म सिरीज प्रोसेसर्स किंवा ऍडव्हान्स रिस्क मशीन्स असं आपण त्याला म्हणतो. ठीक आहे. सो बेसिक different features that are supported by ARM. Those features are like a large uniform register file, right? So as far as this ARM series is concerned, we have those features. Large register file. What do you mean by this large register file? It's having huge storage, temporary storage, which can be utilized for computation. Then load and store architecture. It is load and store architecture. It's a load and store architecture. While discussing this load and store instructions, you will understand what is meaning of that. After that, it's having uniform and fixed length instructions. So uniform and fixed length instructions, right? So it's having a uniform and fixed length instructions. This is another feature. After that, the most important part that you should remember, that you should recall, is it's a 32-bit processor. It's a 32-bit processor. Then we have 32-bit instructions. Since processor is capable of processing, you have 32-bit instructions. You can have 32-bit instructions. Another highlighting feature of this family is good speed and less power consumption. And last but not the least, high code density. So these are the features I have written here for ARM Cortex M3, ARM Cortex family, right? So these are the features of ARM. So I hope you understood about the history and some of the introductory part of this thing. Now, before I take you to the actual Cortex M3 and learning the Cortex M3, before that, I would like to make you aware of the things which you have learned already, right? So ARM architecture. Right. So in a broad sense, you might have seen this diagram. Or let me open LPC 2148 architecture. Not required. Let us understand with differentiating points only. Okay. So let's say this is ARM architecture. It is a it's a Cortex M3. LPC 2148. Yeah. So this is ARM architecture that you might have seen. Right. So, in a broad sense, if you look at this diagram, you will find this address register, then program counter, then you will have this incrementer, register bank, then you have multiple multiply register, barrel shifter, ALU, arithmetic logical unit. Then here on this side, you have instruction decode and control, data out register, data in register. काय म्हणत होते? Huh? Huh. Right. So these are the things which are included in this ARM architecture. Now, if you look at this, you will find a very proper control mechanism in this particular diagram. So whenever you want some control mechanism, you need to have some variables and data. For that, you have the address registers, means what, which is pointed by program counter. And we know that the use of program counter, it will always point to the location where the instructions are stored, right? So program counter will simply point to the location of instruction which is going to be executed next. So once the instruction is executed, the program counter will be pointing to the next instruction which is supposed to be executed, right? So whatever things you write as a code, whatever things you are writing as a program, those instructions will be stored in an address, in a register, right? Let it be RAM or ROM, and program counter will be pointing to that register, right? So this is how the address register and the register bank works here in a coordination along with the program counter. After that, we have multiply register and barrel shifter, right? So barrel shifter on the data path can pre-process the data before it enters to the ALU. And this register holds the data as well as addresses. So there are total, if I talk about Cortex M3, there are total 37 registers which can be utilized for this purpose, right? So many of the blocks which are shown here, right? So let's say data out register. So before we send data out of the general purpose input output, it will be stored on this data out register. And whenever we take some data from the GPIO, it will be stored on this data in register. So once the data is getting in, we pass it through this instruction decode and control mechanism, right? So this thing when we talk about processor or controller, the diagram which is shown here is able to process the data and it is able to control the data, right? So let's say if I'm having some button at a data in register, means what, suppose I'm having a switch which is connected to GPIO, and we know that whatever data we are putting on GPIO, it will be sent to data in register, right? So whatever status of switch is there, it will go to this data in register. And we have written some code. If the status of switch is closed, then output pin of that GPIO should go high, right? So who will decide that? This instruction decode and control unit will decide, and accordingly control action will be generated here, which will decide to turn on the LED which is connected on a GPIO output pin. So this is how the control mechanism works here. And here on the left hand side, the processing is carried out. If you want to add a couple of registers, if you want to perform some addition, subtraction, then let's say logical operations like AND operation or operation, it simply gets the data into ALU. Then ALU performs that arithmetic or logical operation, and it will send the result. You can get the result back onto the address register and register bank. So we know that two variables, if they are getting added, the final result is again going to be served as another variable, and that can be saved, that can be stored somewhere on the memory itself, right? So this is how the processing and controlling is carried out with ARM. Next part of this is what I will simply do is I will just get this diagram. Yeah. Next point of our discussion is Cortex M3, Cortex series classification. Right, so Cortex series classification, and here I'm going to present those three series now: A series, R series, and M series. Right, so these are the different series that we have to learn. Cortex series classification, ARM. Now, over the past several years, ARM extended its product portfolio by diversifying its CPU development, and which resulted in architecture version like version 7, version 6, version 7, etc. So the architecture design is divided into three different profiles. In that first profile is called as A profile. First profile is called as A profile, and we know what is meaning of A. A stands for application. So this particular profile is designed for high performance open application platform. So let me write here all the profiles first. So this is A, R, and M. So there are three profiles. First one is A profile, and what I said about A profile is it is designed for high performance open application platform. High performance open application platform. So this is the significance of A profile. So whenever high performance is required or open application is there, we will prefer A profile microprocessors. Now next is R profile. Why they are designed? When they are used? It is designed. It is used for high-end embedded systems. For high-end embedded systems, in which real-time performance is needed. So in which real-time performance is needed. So these are the significance of all those three categories. A profile कधी लागणार आहे आपल्याला जिथं हाई परफॉर्मन्स पाहिजे. आर प्रोफाईल मधला डिव्हाइस तुम्ही कधी यूज करणार जिथे आपल्याला हाई एंड एम्बेडेड सिस्टम आहे इन विच टाइम परफॉर्मन्स इज needed, real time performance is needed. After that we have M series. Now when this M profile is required, or when it is designed, when it is used, this M profile is designed for deeply embedded microcontroller type system. For microcontroller type embedded system. Now let us understand the meaning of those three profiles one by one. A profile is used when used for high performance applications. R profile is used for embedded system when real time application, means what? A quick response is required. M profile is used when microcontroller type embedded system is required. Now suppose I want suppose I want to design an application for automotive braking system. म्हणजेच काय, सपोज समोरून एखादा ऑब्जेक्ट आला तर माझ्या व्हेकलचा ब्रेक ऑटोमॅटिकली अप्लाय झाला पाहिजे. In that case, which device, from which profile I should prefer? Whether it has to be A profile, R profile, or M profile. See, there are 3 MCQs asked on this particular explanation. That's why I'm asking in the same pattern. जर मला ऑटोमॅटिव्ह ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम ऍप्लिकेशन तयार करायचं असेल तर मी कुठल्या कॅटेगरी मधला प्रोसेसर वापरला पाहिजे? A profile, R profile, or M profile? See, basically the need of that application is as soon as it detects some object, it should apply the brake. म्हणजेच काय, तिथं time is the major constraint. It should be a real time application, right? So in that system, you should prefer this R profile. You should prefer this R profile type of microcontroller, microprocessor, right? So this is one case. Second case is, suppose I want to build a smartwatch using this ARM processor, right? So in that case, what should be my choice? Suppose I wanted to build a smartwatch. In that case, what should be the choice? बघा, जिथं ऑटोमॅटिव्ह रिअल टाइम ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम होती तिथं तुम्ही आर प्रोफाईल प्रेफर केली, कारण त्याचा रिस्पॉन्स टाइम कमी असणार आहे. म्हणजे जसं समोर ऑब्जेक्ट डिटेक्ट होईल, इमिजिएटली त्यांनी ब्रेक अप्लाय केलं पाहिजे. त्या केसमध्ये मी रिअल टाइम प्रोफाईल वाला मायक्रो प्रोसेसर यूज केला पाहिजे. पण जिथं मी स्मार्ट वॉच मध्ये मायक्रो प्रोसेसर घेणार आहे, स्मार्ट वॉच मध्ये जर मी मायक्रो प्रोसेसर वापरत असेल तर तिथं मी एम प्रोफाईल वाला यूज केला पाहिजे. कारण का की एम प्रोफाईल मध्ये त्याला रिक्वायर्ड रॅम रॉम इनबिल्ड प्रोव्हाइड केलेली असते आणि त्यासाठी एक्सटर्नल इंटरफेस करायची गरज नाही. ठीक आहे, जर एक्सटर्नल इंटरफेस करावं लागलं तर तुम्हाला त्याला ऍडिशनल सप्लाय द्यावं लागेल. ऍडिशनल सप्लाय म्हणजे परत बॅटरी कन्झम्पशन वाढेल. सो इन ऑर्डर टू रिड्यूस द बॅटरी कन्झम्पशन in smart watches, M profile in smart watches, or in, let's say, in a mobile phones, I will prefer M profile microprocessors, right? हे झालं दुसरं एक्झाम्पल. आणि तिसरं एक्झाम्पल, सपोज यू आर ट्राइंग टू मॅन्युफॅक्चर स्मार्ट टीव्ही. In smart TV, which profile of processor you will be using? It should be high performance, right? So that means you are using A profile. Okay, so with that, let me conclude here with the concluding statement that when you need responsive system, when you need quick responses, you should go for R profile. When you need a kind of optimum solution with respect to battery size and RAM ROM, you should go for M profile. And when you need actual high end performance, in that case A profile must be selected, right? A profile microprocessor must be selected. So these are the 3 categories of profiles, right? So quickly let us summarize what we have learned with that ARM. A profile, so this is called as application processors which are designed to handle complex such as high-end embedded operating systems such as Symbian, Linux, Windows embedded system. So these A profile processors, they can handle high-end operating systems as well. These processors require highest processing power. They are virtual memory systems. They support with memory management unit. So MMU is present in A series. And optionally, enhanced Java support is provided in A series. And it is also a secure programming execution environment. For examples, in the products like high-end mobile phones, in electronic gadgets, or for financial transactions, these A profiles are preferred. Then, just to summarize, for R profile, we have this real-time high-performance processor. R profile means real-time high-performance processor, and it targets to the primarily at real-time markets such as high-end braking system, hard drive controllers, in which high processing power and high reliability is essential, for which low latency is required. Low latency means response time should be less. In that case, our profile processors are preferred. And next one is M profile. So this profile is targeting to the low cost application in which processing efficiency is important, and cost, power consumption, low interrupt latency, and ease of use are critical, as well as this industrial control applications. They are making use of this real time. They are making use of this M profile controllers. Right. So this is all about Cortex series classification ARM. In the next lecture, we will discuss about ARM Cortex M series. Right. So we will be focusing on this M series. This one. Right. So we will talk on this M profile and different devices which are present for this M series, Cortex M series, in the next lecture. So if you have any doubt so far, you can ask. Any doubt? Right. So if you have mentioned your roll numbers in the chat box, you are allowed to leave now. हाँ मैम बोलिए ना। मेरे दो खत्म हो गए, तीसरा चल रहा है। हाँ हाँ हाँ। क्या 3.3 का हाफ हाफ कंप्लीट हो गया, 2.5 लिखिए। यस यस नाही फोन करायला सांगा म्हणते काय म्हणत होते? नाही संतोष साळुंके सर काय म्हणत होते? संतोष साळुंके होती ती आपली होती पटसनची एस वाय साळुंके सर मी मोरे ते आपली बोलले बंदार सर बोलले ते हो का लेक्चर मध्ये का म्हणते हां हां बंदार सर नसतील, एस वाय साळुंके त्यांचा आवाज आहे हो, बंदार सरांचा आवाज. हां बोला की कशाचा? हा 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 बरोबर. त्यांना काय आपण झोपेसोबत त्यांना पण इन्व्हिटेशन पाठवत होतो ना, म्हणजे थोडं फॉलोअप करतोय. झोपे काय रिस्पॉन्ड करत नाही हो. हा 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 बाय. हा तेच की ठीक आहे, त्यांनी म्हणते झोपेंना कॉन्टॅक्ट करा म्हणून. ठीक आहे म्हटलं, काय आता झोपेचा रिस्पॉन्ड करा. काय बोलून उपयोग नाही, बोला तरी पण. Yes. हा हा हा. येस येस येस. हा चालेल चालेल.